What is up for my dog's family? I got another episode here for you today. Our first ever episode where we're live in person together, Johnny.
This is no camera. I can actually touch that.
High five.
How we're doing?
We did a road trip and then we were in the same car, but this is totally different. And for those of you who may this may be your first time listening to us, we are a podcast that exists to talk about what it's like to be a man in today's world. We want to help men become the best version of themselves, and to highlight that we can't do it alone and that we need other men in our life along the journey with us that we can share our lives with. And so that's what this podcast is all about. If this is your first time with us, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. This is not how it normally looks. For normal listeners, if you think we're professional, you should have seen us trying to get set up for this episode.
Honestly, I feel like Ricky Bobby right now. I don't know what to do with my hands because I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking at you or looking at the screen. So if this looks awkward, this is because I feel awkward. And
we'll settle in. You settle in. It's our first time doing it. You know, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I wanted to open the show, Johnny, with for those that don't know, Johnny's a history teacher. Yeah, you're a history guru.
Loud and proud.
So I have a history question for you, Johnny. You told me I stumbled across it this week and I was like, I wonder how Johnny would.
I saw it in the notes that said history question for Johnny, and I had been nervous.
So I saw on TikTok, obviously.
Yeah.
Where you get all your best is
better than Fox, right? CNN.
Yeah. Well, really, it wasn't anyone giving me information. It just brought up a good thing to think. So I'm going to pose a question to you. So Magellan, right? The guy who's known for making maps and,
yes.
And very detailed maps.
Yes.
I might add. How on earth were him and all the other people making maps at that time able to sketch out the coastlines with such accuracy without having a view from up top? I mean, this was what year was that?
Well, the answer is obvious. Is because the Earth is flat, and that's totally kidding. I'm not a flat earther. If you are a flat earther, we can still have a conversation. Honestly, that's crazy part is to realize maybe that's when the Simpsons had time travel and we're going back.
Maybe.
And they helped them out. So we're doing full circle on podcast right now.
Yeah.
That is the only either flat Earth or the Simpsons. So either or could probably be the answer.
Time travel.
And now Magellan is a good Academy brand.
Yeah, that's true.
So there we go.
True.
I have no idea.
Well, because what year was that? Do you know?
So I'm not the best with knowing things for world history. You know what's sad about that?
Your history.
I'm a world history teacher. So I'm an intro. So 6th grade is just intro. We don't even get to Magellan. So my time of that stuff.
Okay, well, when does your time end? Like, what do you do?
My time ends in the Mesoamericas with the Inca, which is, if you just want to know, the movie Emperor's New Groove is all about.
What a movie.
Yeah, that's going to be a
phenomenal.
You pull the lever, Gronk, or Kronk. Gronk is the other guy.
Yeah, Gronk played in the NFL.
Yeah, but they're kind of the same person.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, they kind of are the same person.
Maybe that's Gronk Eagles, Gronk hashtag. There's a hashtag. We already got a hashtag for the episode, and we're a few minutes in.
Yeah.
But no football this weekend, really. We had the Army-Navy game.
Which did not go how I thought it was.
I didn't get to watch it.
I didn't either because we were out. We finished our Christmas shopping already, did
Hey, so did we. So did we. There we go.
Nice.
Yes, I got you a little Ted Lasso.
You did. You got me a nice Ted Lasso ornament.
Yes. I'm not stating anything in return. That I'm turning it into my mom. I saw something in that store and I said, "Tucker, that." So I bought it.
Yeah, that sounds like my mom too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Army-Navy game did not go how I thought it was going to go. I thought Army was going to steamroll Navy. They've had a pretty good year.
I think the score.
It was the opposite. It was like 30.
Didn't watch football at all.
I think it was like 31-13, something like that. I watched a little bit of the FCS play.
Yeah. The only thing I did watch, and I didn't even tell you about that, if you want to talk about this, was the highest.
I was out with my parents. So I couldn't hear the audio, but I saw who won.
Yeah. which I figured.
Yeah, I kind of saw
Travis Hunter would win. I personally think that Ashton Genty from Boise State should have won, which is my 2 cents. I got family in Boise. Shout out to the Broncos over there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was on the Genty train for winning the Heisman because I do think him taking a group of 5 team who probably wouldn't have been relevant this year, making them relevant, not only just being talked about, but led them to a college football playoff berth, and a first round bye.
Yeah.
So I mean, what he did was incredible.
And I love that he wore his. I don't know if you saw that. He was his team. He wore his team, and they asked him why, and he goes, "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my team." So talking about being a dog for your team.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty, if you want to come on, we'd love to have you.
I was so
We should start reaching out to players.
Yeah, I did reach out to a Tennessee player. I forgot to tell you about that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Dane Davis. He's like,
I don't think he can come, actually.
he said,
I think he can't come. Hey, get it.
he's one of our offensive linemen, but he's been doing a ton with Hurricane Helene relief. Yeah, I'm hurt.
Hey, if you're shooting
our shots.
Yeah, if you're a football player or any kind of player, come on the podcast. We would love to have you on.
Yeah. It's a Big Cat from Barstool with the first one who made like pretty good point in terms of like Travis Hunter winning the Heisman over Genty.
Okay.
He started reading off statistics of running backs in the past who have done what Genty's been doing.
Yeah.
Before. So like Melvin Gordon, 1 year, very comparable statistics. I think Monty Ball was both Wisconsin running backs, ironically. There was one more. He was just reading off the statistics and comparing it to Genty, and he's like, Genty, we've seen this. This has been done. Travis Hunter playing 2 positions, we haven't seen, at least in our lifetime.
Yeah. Do you really think, do you think that there's no player in college football who's not playing both sides right now? Maybe a smaller school? Because that's the thing is that they didn't have what his yards were. They said he had 1,000 snaps. Snaps aren't stats.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, best ability is availability, though. They do say that.
So, I don't know. I mean, he's a better athlete than I am, so I can't really talk that much. Yeah. I couldn't play both sides. Goodness gracious, I'll be winded.
I played both sides in high school, and it was tough.
Yeah, but that's no offense to that.
Oh, yeah, small 2A high school football.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
I think most middle schools and high schools do both.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
actually small schools.
Yeah. But that's a good memory that you have.
It is a good. Some might say that playing football was good.
It was a good memory. Yeah, actually, if you're listening to this, what is your favorite memory from Sean? Let's take a second to think about that.
Good question.
A good memory, and while our listeners are thinking, what is one of your top memories?
So I'll be completely honest with you. When we talked about doing childhood memories, okay, I started thinking, my brain got in this loop of I could only think of 2.
Yes, me too.
And I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
I kept going back to those 2.
Yes.
And I was like, I know there's more that are better than what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
And so I was hanging out with my dogs this week. There you go. We hang out on Tuesday nights. And I asked them before I left, I said, guys, I gotta share some of our childhood memories on the podcast this week. Can you guys help me? What are some of the best memories you guys can remember? I was like, I can only think of 2. And they helped me a ton. So I'm going to shout out to the boys for helping me out with this for this week.
I can't imagine. That must have been a room full of.
Oh, dude, we had the best. I was crying tears. I was crying laughing.
Yes. It was almost like you were reimagining it for the first time again because you forgot it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some?
So, a lot of, for those that don't know, I've had the same group of friends since elementary school. So some of us met in 2nd grade, some of us met in 4th grade. We grew up together, lived in a small town. We hung out all the time. So I have tons of memories with those guys. One in particular that stood out. I'll tell one crazy story and then one funny. So the crazy one is we were younger. Well, actually, it was probably middle school, I think. We were at my house, and I don't know if you ever did this, play manhunt or
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Yes.
So we did it, but it was during the winter, I think. So it was really cold outside. So we did it in my parents' basement. We had like, TV down there, ping pong table. Like it was a cool setup. That was usually where we hung out when we hung out at my house. Cut out all the lights, covered up all the windows so you could not see a thing.
Yes.
And then we were like, you know what? Let's make it creepy because it's dark. So we had I don't know if you played Call of Duty Modern Warfare
Yes.
2. We had the nuke alarm that goes off. That was how we started it.
That was amazing.
And then whoever was it had to switch from the nuke alarm to I think we went on YouTube and we searched creepy doll music. And I mean, it was terrible. It was like bone chilling, terrifying music. So whoever was it had to switch it from the nuke alarm to that before going out to find everything. So our friend started the nuke alarm that was going off. Everybody hid. Once that was done, he flips it over to the other music. He comes out and starts looking for us. So meanwhile, the laptop that's playing the music is like in the bathroom downstairs. Nobody's going anywhere near it. He's out looking for people. It switches back to the nuke alarm without anybody touching it. It was freaky. And we all like the guy who was it turned the lights on. Was like, "What just happened? Did one of y'all touch the laptop?" We're like, we all came out of our hiding spots. We were like, no, we were all hiding. And we all just like looked at each other and was like, what just like, is this basement on?
Yeah.
And there's been other stuff. I won't get into it. There's been other stuff that's happened in that basement that kind of led us, to be like, I don't know about this.
Friend. You didn't know.
Yeah, maybe. Imaginary friend. So yeah, that was crazy. And then there was another time we I don't remember how old we were when we did this. We saw some stupid movie where they did like an initiation into a fraternity.
Okay.
And so our group of friends decided we got to come up with our own initiation. And so came up with like 4 or 5 different things that we had to do. One of them was eat raw potato, which is disgusting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody's ever done that? Eating a raw potato is disgusting.
Fully?
No, you just had to like take a bite. Honestly, these were kind of wimpy steps when I look back at it, except for one. But then we made this just disgusting shot of what we could find in the fridge. So like Worcestershire sauce, Greek vinaigrette dressing, salt and pepper, I think mustard, maybe mayonnaise, just like just a gross combination of things. You had to do that. And then the worst one was, I don't know, have you ever done the ice with salt?
Oh, yeah.
So that was part of it. So for your listeners, don't get any ideas. I don't recommend doing this, but if you put salt on someone's back and then you press ice down on it, it like creates a burning sensation. It'll leave a mark on your skin. My friend, one of my friends had like leftover scars from doing that for like a year after.
Was this worth being in this friend group?
I mean, we're still friends to this day. So well, and what's hilarious is one of our other friends who wasn't there when we did it the first time, we made him do it.
Even though it wasn't part of it.
Even though he wasn't part of it. Yeah. So what about you? What's some of your
So I was the same way where I only had these 2 memories that were coming back and I couldn't think of anything. I didn't unfortunately, all my friends live in Georgia and it's not like I have a phone or anything to call because that would be convenient. So I did not call them or talk to them. The one thing I could think of was my buddy in high school. He had a lake house and we went tubing on that all the time. And his dad would just, I know the lake when you're driving like 30 miles per hour on a car's not a lot, but on a boat is like pretty fast. So he would do that. And we invited one guy on the lake one time. And I didn't really know him. I was trying to think of his name. I think my mind intentionally forgot him because he was kind of like, if you're listening to this, hopefully you've changed a little bit, but it's kind of scary a little bit. And we're tubing and we play King of the Hill one too. So where you're got rip people off and like the last person standing. And so we're doing that going and it's me and my buddy and this other guy that he invited, I didn't know. And so me and my buddy say, okay, let's team up and just take him out. Well, he pulls out a freaking pocket knife and says, like, you come after me, I'm going to stab you. And so my buddies grabs him and we just take him to the lake. And I was like, please, never invite this guy ever. So maybe that's why, because I have like trauma from that episode. So getting almost stabbed while
So you like blocked it out of your movie.
I think so.
That's dramatic.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it was. My other one, I'm trying to think. I have other ones, but one that was like really cool for me. It was not like a crazy story, but when I graduated high school, me and 3 other buddies, we got in a truck and drove across the country.
You told me about that before.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like,
We never.
that would be so cool.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, hey, maybe we should do.
We should.
But we never once stayed at a hotel. We would either camp somewhere, we stayed buddy's dorm room, or we knew some people along the way. Mainly, it was just one guy driving. The passenger guy was trying to keep the drivers like awake, and 2 guys in the back were sleeping. You just rotate. So we just did that, and it was amazing. I totally recommend going out west and just doing that. But honestly, when you go with your friends and go with 4 guys, and you don't stay anywhere like in a hotel, I mean, and you just get like PB&Js all you're doing. I mean, it was awesome. We definitely we had so many memories. We went through a lot of national parks, and I mean, I just can't say how much fun that was. I mean, I can't not say how much fun that was. It was just a ton of fun. So definitely recommend doing that. Road trips. Claire does not like doing road trips.
Well, it is Haley.
Yeah, I was like, let's just do a road trip. You and I just need to do a road trip.
Because I was talking to Haley. So Friday, I watched the whole Pat McAfee show at West Virginia. They were introducing their not new football coach. He was the coach there when Pat was there, but they rehired him, which I think is amazing. Rich Rodriguez.
Right.
And so they did a whole show in West Virginia. It was just cool vibes, cool scene. I talked to Haley because we have family friends that have a place in West Virginia that we stayed at for our anniversary. And I was like, Haley, let's go to a West Virginia football game and stop and stay, where our family friends have a place, and drive up to the game. And she was like, that's so much driving. I don't want to do that. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll see if Johnny wants to go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find Pat McAfee.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That's a bucket list guest. It's Pat McAfee.
Yeah, one day. But yeah, even as we're talking about these memories, I've thinking of more and more. Just every time I hang out with my friends and we reminisce, I leave being like, we were a bunch of functional idiots.
But isn't that when you hang out with someone for they haven't seen in a while, the majority of the conversation
is reminiscence. Yeah, and it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
No, so much. Yeah, but it's crazy how some memories you can know easily, and some you it's there, but you just can't figure out why you can't.
Like for example, I was trying to think of a memory from our time at Snowbird.
Yeah,
before we met.
Right.
I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah,
but I know we did fun. Well, was that the year we went to Nashville?
Yes, we did go to Nashville. Yes,
we went to Nashville. We were not 21 yet.
We couldn't go.
Either of us had ever been there, so we didn't know what to expect or, what we were getting into. So we go down on Broadway, can't get in anywhere because we're not 20.
It's not time.
No, it's during the day, so we thought we'd still be able to get in and listen to music.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
And then my aunt was giving you a lot of heck for being a Georgia fan, so that was fun. We stayed with her.
To this day, she told us, don't back down.
You don't.
I still fight that every time. But no, that was fun. We need to do a Nashville trip. Yeah, now we can actually enjoy the live music.
Yeah.
But no, but memory's cool, and so hopefully you were able to think about some memories, and because memories are a really cool thing, but like I said earlier, mind is a confusing topic. And so to officially start off this, today we're going to talk about the mind, some myths when it comes to the mind and how we can sharpen the mind. And to start off this, I want to do a test on Tucker. So I found this memory test, and if you're listening, I'll pause for a moment so that you can also think about it too. So this is a short-term memory test that they do for people sometimes maybe if they're thinking that they're starting to lose their memory when getting into their older age. It's not something that people normally do during our age, but it's good to see how you would be if you're short-term memory. So I'm going to say line 1. All right.
With the worst at short.
Okay.
So that is to long-term.
Yes. And so that's
Haley would tell you.
That's what the test is. Oh, I can't fully imagine. Yeah. That's what this test is right here. Is for short-term memory. So I want to say 5 words.
Okay.
All right. So if you're listening, get ready. Start to focus. Okay. I'm going to say 5 words. So my words are apple, car, table, clock, and flower. All right. Can you repeat them back? And our listeners, can you repeat those back in the same order?
Apple, car, table, clock, flower.
Yeah, good job. So see, this is a short-term memory test because our short-term memory actually only lasts for a few seconds or maybe for a few minutes, but no longer than that.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's why we have these short-term memories. So now we're going to keep going. This test has 2 lines. Okay. So line number 2. All right. So listeners, if you pass the first one, congrats. We're now on level 2. Let's see if you can go level 2. All right. So level 2, line 2 is cloud, river, pencil, garden, and window. Now, thinking about those? Listeners, are you thinking about those? Okay, make sure you're thinking about line 2. And we're getting it ready. Now, as I asked Tucker, listeners, I want you to repeat it back. But Tucker, can you please repeat back line 1?
I don't even remember what the first word of line 1 was.
Isn't that, I mean, we're only like 45 seconds.
Well, you made me focus on something else.
Exactly. Yeah. So listeners, if you were able to do it, comment it below. Comment on our Spotify or YouTube. See it. So if you were, congrats, you're above average. This is about an average test, okay? So if you can't
Above average.
well, most people can't pass this test because you were focusing on that one thing. Now,
Which I think I may know why I can't.
okay, so
But
no, yeah. So these tests, not like they aren't always accurate for everybody, right? Because some people have some things like, as I was talking to Claire and I was like, what is the correct way to say this? And she says neurodivergent. Neurodivergent is the correct way to say it. With people who have ADHD, sometimes I'm not talking about just memory, but just focusing is hard for some other people. I think you will elaborate more on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. My hypothesis of why I can't do that. And Haley and I talked this through with our counselor because there's times when like I'll be doing something and Haley will talk to me and I just like don't hear a word she said.
Right.
I can't like switch from whatever I was doing to listen to her.
Right.
And so she's, we were talking through that. And my counselor gave this analogy for my brain that just, I have never felt more seen and heard in my life.
Let's hear.
But she was saying that for people who have ADD, ADHD, it's like you have like 10 different doors going on in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have one door open, you get hyper fixated on that door. And if someone comes and knocks on another door, your brain like can't comprehend it and like can't make a switch and it just throws things into a tizzy.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, the way I like to think about it is if you've seen Monsters Inc., the scene when they're flying around on the doors and like going in all the different places. That's my brain.
That's inside.
Yeah. That's what's going on up here.
Hey, that's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, that's fair. And so I want to keep going off of that. My first myth, I'm talking about 2 myths when it comes to the brain. And I'm going to, for the first one, I'm going to stray away from memory, but I want to talk about the myth of distraction. So we've been told that distraction is bad, right? Have you ever been gotten on to for being distracted before, maybe in class or by your parent?
I'm sure at some point, yes.
But you can't remember, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but distraction is bad. So you like to walk.
Yeah.
And how far do you walk? Do you walk like a mile?
It's usually right around 2 miles, which is like 30 minutes.
Yeah. So let's say you walk 6 miles tomorrow. What's the first thing you want to do with your feet when you get inside?
Sit down.
Sit down. Why?
You would need to give them a break.
Right. So what I found, this is crazy, that study shows that when we're like at work and we're focusing, or if we are studying for something and our brain's trying to focus on that, when our brain starts getting distracted, that's not a time to start digging your heels in and go for a few more hours. That's your brain saying, hey, I'm tired. I need a break. And so the first thing with your brain is that distracting is okay. That's your brain giving you an alarm saying, please give me rest. So I don't know if you've ever thought of it or even heard of it before.
Yeah, no, I've heard 90 minutes is like the optimal amount of time your brain's able to focus.
Right.
And then you need like a 15 to 30 minute break.
Yeah.
In between those, they call it like to get into your flow, to be in a flow state. Okay, it takes about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're really not going to have the ability to focus.
Yeah.
There's self-help gurus that recommend blocking off 30-minute sessions during your day.
Yeah.
When you know you need to focus and knock stuff out.
And not getting on your phone.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later. Getting on your phone is not a way to rest your brain
Mm-hmm.
because it's actually keeping your brain more.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was cool because I never have heard that before. Distracting is actually a good thing because it's helping your brain or telling you to rest. Another thing, now going more back to memory, is just real quick. What are some stereotypes as a guy that you've heard about not being able to remember everything? Have you ever been told anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, in marriage, I feel like the stereotype is there all the time.
Oh, you're a guy, so of course you forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you not keep track of what all we have going on? How do you,
Right.
why can't you remember this? Why can't you remember that? Not that, like, I'm not saying Haley says it like that, but like the world
across the board.
That's how the couple stereotype is.
Well,
the wife remembers everything, remembers the plan. The husband just shows up.
Yes. Every movie, every TV show
Makes fun of it.
the exact same way.
Yeah.
The crazy part is that it's been proven that estrogen, the hormone in the female body, it actually helps with memory. And testosterone, the hormone in the male body, actually has a negative impact on memory. So it's not our fault, right? So there we go. Not our fault.
Let's go.
That's our.
Hey, we got science.
Yeah.
Back us. Let's go.
Yeah. But see, and it's our podcast. It was a great talking to you. Like,
Yeah, that's all we need.
that's all we need. No, yeah, I know. I mean, so next time someone says something, say, I can't help it. It's a hormone side of me. But I wanted to bring up a quote from Dan.
Yeah.
There were so many good quotes.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
And if you have not listened to the podcast from last week, please go back, listen to that, and get a pen and pencil. Because my favorite quote,
A pen and pencil.
gosh, I'm memory. Pen and pencil, you cut me off.
That's right. Yeah.
So that you could write on paper.
Yeah, I get you.
You cut me off. Yeah, see? Yeah, there you go. Good say. Is that don't give yourself a halt.
Mm-hmm.
So just because guys have a hormone inside them that make them forget things more does not mean that we should just be like, okay, well then I'm never going to try.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you do know that quote? Was that your favorite one from last time?
It was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is a struggle for a lot of men. We recognize, our strengths and our weaknesses, what we're good at, not good at. I tend to just be like, oh, well, I need to just stay away from the things I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Because I need to focus on my strengths. But I like that Dan's encouraging, like, recognize that you're not good at those things, but instead of saying, I just don't need to do them, recognize them as things you can work in the background while you do focus on.
Yeah.
Like, keep on improving, keep on getting better, become a more well-rounded guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like relationally, why that's important, specifically with the conversation around memory, is whoever it is that's struggling with your ability to not remember things, if you're actively trying to improve in that category, it at least shows that you care enough to be intentional and to get better in that category. And I think that goes a tremendously long way in building goodwill in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we are ourselves, so we don't have our memory, right? And so we want to make sure that we are strengthening. And so now to focus less on about the mind, or like just like a broad category, we're going to focus more on a narrow category of memory. And the second myth when it comes to this is that forgetting things is bad. And when I was doing my research on that was like the title on most things that I saw was forgetting things is bad, because it says that in order for the mind to hold on to memories, just to forget things. So they said treat it like a camera. So on camera roll on your phone, if you start getting your max out of storage, in order to get new pictures into your camera roll or to keep some pictures, you might have to delete old ones that you don't think that you want to use it. So that's how memory works, is that in order to keep memories that it wants, it's going to have to start deleting old memories. And so actually part of memory is forgetting. And that sounds crazy.
It's storage space.
Yeah, it's exactly like storage space.
Mhm.
So that's what part of memory is forgetting on that. And the best way that under some like supporting evidence for this is, have you ever heard of the thing called the frequency illusion?
Never heard of it.
No. Okay. So okay, let's talk about, have you ever, let's say you go to buy a new car and you see that car all over the place, right?
Yep.
And you think, oh my God, why am I just now seeing this car all over the place?
Right.
This is crazy. That's what frequency illusion is that when your brain has seen those things before, but it intentionally forgot it in the past because it wasn't important information. But now that you are buying that car, it is now going to start holding on to those memories because that's something that's important to you. And so your brain, if we kept all the information inside of our brain, it would be insane. And it would be harmful to us. So it's important for us to forget things, but then when we do remember things, it's not that we never heard this before. It's just that now that's a memory that our brain chooses to hold on to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what the frequency illusion is that we have a ton of memories, but our brain has to choose when to hold on to some and let go of others. Another one is called the memory interference, which is kind of what I was doing during that game. So let's say you are coming home from the grocery store. You just unlock the door and you have groceries in your hand. You're trying to put the groceries away. You're on the phone with somebody, trying to let your dog out. And you're like, where in the world was my keys? I have no idea where I placed my keys, because what your brain was doing was so many memories were going on that was interfering with one another. Just like for you with the line 1 and line 2, I intentionally started trying to make you focus on line 2 so that you would forget line 1. So those are two memories that were like interfering with one another.
You're trying to open too many doors in my brain.
Oh,
because you're also talking.
I was.
I had to like keep reading it over.
Yes, me talking about sci stuff I was trying to get you to get.
Very rude.
Oh,
Very rude.
The whole test is super familiar. I'm wanting you to fail.
Yeah.
And so that's what the memory interference is that sometimes when we're holding on to too many things, our brain cannot multitask. Okay? They cannot multitask. There's a great quote from Ron Swanson. And this quote says,
yeah, I know what you're about to say.
yes, and to our viewers, I apologize, but this is a great quote. The quote is from Ron Swanson, is one cannot half-ass two things. He can only full-ass one.
Mhm.
And that's true. You cannot multitask. Even though you may think that you can, your brain can only focus on one thing. So what's going to happen is it's going to start focusing on one thing, and then when you move on to the next, it's going to have to forget that and focus on that thing. And so by multitasking, you're actually causing your brain to go on this rapid fire forgetting.
Mhm.
And so you're actually hurting your brain and your memory even more and more. I thought I was good at multitasking until I realized that actually I'm not. I'm actually hurting myself. Have you thought you were good at multitasking?
No, I know I'm not good.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Because I mean, all it is just you're shifting your attention. You're not.
Yes, exactly.
It's not that you're actually doing two things at one time.
Right.
You're doing one thing, then switching to another, then switching back to the one thing.
Right.
So you never get to the flow state. You never get to where you're like really in the zone and really focused and lasered in, because you're just constantly switching. And that's exhausting for your brain.
It's exhausting for your brain. Yeah. And so it's really hard for that to happen. And so that's why you need to focus on one thing at a time in order to, hold on to that. And that's why if you're studying for a test, it's not good. Like I tell my students all the time, it's not good to study for long periods of time. And actually, something that I do that is definitely unorthodox for any history teacher whatsoever. And if other people disagree with me, I would love to talk. But I don't require my students to know dates, history, or years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't require them to do that at all.
Well, clearly you couldn't tell me.
Yeah, clearly. That's why. But I can tell you chronologically when it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my whole thing is I will teach the dates to them. I will tell them the dates that happen, but I will never test them on it. Because if you're trying to figure out, if something happened on this date, it's going to be hard to also figure out when what happened. What was that description in there? Because those memory interferences are going on. And so I would rather my students to know what happened when. But I would want them to know, okay, obviously that World War I comes before World War II. Like I want them to know in time when it happened, but I don't care if they know it happened in 1940. I don't care, because that's not, with Google, you just Google it.
True.
Just the information of itself is more important to me on there. And people don't like that. People think history, you need to know dates. But for me, I'm an Orthodox teacher. I do it a little differently. But lastly, when it comes to this, we're not we'll talk about this one thing, and we'll talk about how to sharpen your mind. Is, why do you think that we hold on to certain memories and not others? After what we just talked about just now, and maybe from your own personal experience. Like, because you were trying to think about other memories with your friends, but you couldn't. So why do you think that was?
I feel like there was probably some time recently where I talked about the two that were in the front of mind,
Right.
and that's why I couldn't think back beyond anything.
Yeah. Right. No. Yeah. No. That's fair, and that's what it is. Or that's similar to that. Is it's our brain focuses more on new and important information. That's why people can hold on to more childhood information than they can now in life when they're a little bit older. Like, you probably couldn't tell like what happened, what you had for lunch 3 Wednesdays ago. Maybe you could.
Like if I looked at my calendar.
Okay. But on top of your head, you could. No. Because that was just a routine thing, right? That wasn't important information. That was just a routine thing that you do. But something like learning how to drive a car, or a new thing that you and your friends did when you were younger, because as a child, you're like a sponge, you're holding on to more things. And that's why, like, Claire's grandma, she is suffering right now with some memory loss. And I was hanging out with her over the weekend. What I love to do with her, and I love to ask her questions about her childhood, because she can just tell me like an hours long like story. Unfortunately, though, she may not know what happened yesterday, and that's out of her control. But her childhood memory is so strong, and so that's why when they get older age, they can know everything about their childhood, because that was new and important information to them that their brains trying to hold on to. But when something happened, like maybe they didn't take their medicine yesterday, they may have forgot, because it's not something that, it's more of a routine thing that you can hold on to. And so, with all this being said, this is how memory works. This is how our mind works. And there's different ways to go about it. And so now, what I want to focus on is how to sharpen it.
Real quick before you move on to that,
Yeah.
I just had thought of this, and I don't know. Inside Out, I think the movies.
Yeah. Love it.
We typically think they're about emotions, but they actually delve into exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They talk about core memories that form a person.
Yeah.
And like other memories are discarded. And
I shouldn't really try anything about.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then, have you seen the movie If?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the movie is about, like, people when they get older, they forget their imaginary friends. And so the whole point is they're trying to get their people to remember their imaginary friends. And so what they did to one guy is they opened up a bag or a box of like bread rolls.
Yeah. It was from a specific bakery.
Yeah. And that smell reignited his memory. So something like that can also, like a memory like that, some smells where you heard a word, something like that, you know.
One thing that's big for me is I'll hear a song and I'll remember, oh, I was here when I heard the song the first time.
Yeah.
And Haley will always be like, yeah, that's crazy. The thing that she talks about the most is I will remember some random sports fact, or like some Tennessee game that happened years ago, and a specific play, and how it all. And she's like, and you can't even remember what our plans are.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I've asked Claire like 10 times what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I can tell you what happened in the Georgia game next week.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's like another thing is another stereotype. The reason why girls can recall things better than guys can is because girls are more, I guess, I don't want to say in touch, but like in touch with their emotion. That's a stereotype. And so one thing that holds on in memory is emotion. So if you attach an emotion to it, then you're going to know that memory, you're going to have it longer. And that's one thing that we try to do this podcast is like, help guys with something like that. And so one thing that we're failing at is, being quote unquote in touch with your emotion. And maybe we need to like let go of our pride and be okay with showing some emotion, because it can help us with our memory. And so it's okay to show emotion as a guy, more than just showing emotion, but also to keep on to memories.
Yeah. Because another reason why us being scientifically unable to remember things. It's not. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to like blame.
Yeah.
We talk about taking responsibility. It's on me.
I can tell by the tone of your voice you're about to make a joke. So
Yeah. So another downside to it is in marriage, when you have a disagreement, we'll call it,
yes.
she'll remember something that I said that I can't verify whether or not I said it because I don't remember
Right.
what.
Yes.
And so I just have to sit there and take it.
Yes.
And I can't be like, I didn't say that because
I truly don't know. I saw this meme and it just like goes with what you're saying. It says, like, I don't know if my wife truly said that or if she's taking advantage
Exactly.
of my short-term memory. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, if that doesn't speak to the guys, then yeah, I totally get it. So that's why for guys,
Gotta
we
work on
definitely need to work on. So be like, you know what? That actually wasn't true. Or, you know what? That was true. I can just say that. But yeah. So how to sharpen your mind? Starting off more is like what you said, how with new memory or how our mind attaches to new and important memories. One way that I was reading an article and I thought, okay, this makes perfect sense. I don't know why I haven't thought about it, is start taking new ways to work or start leaving home a new way. Start doing a new hobby. Start reading a new book. Start doing new things. Don't stay in your routine day to day. Because let's say like that, song, let's say something, I have a really important phone call. It's a good memory that I have. But I'm on the same routine to work, forget it. But if I'm taking a new way to work or going home a new way, have that important phone call, I'm going to probably remember that more because my brain's attaching this new way to work, and I probably will attach that fun.
Yeah. This is fascinating because I'm sitting here thinking about other areas in my life where I struggle.
Right.
Driving is one of.
You struggle with driving?
What?
Okay.
That's not what I said. Don't switch my words.
Sorry.
I struggle with remembering what.
You got
I'm horrible direction.
Oh, yes.
I have to use Google Maps almost everywhere I go. And even the town I grew up in, I eventually got to the place where it's like, okay, I know how to get here.
Yeah. Right.
But then places that I don't go super often and it's sporadically,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how to get there a second time.
Yeah.
And Haley, if she goes somewhere once, she could pretty much remember how to get there again.
That's all. I don't have that.
And I can't. And I think after our conversation today, the reason why is because I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to music when I drive.
Yes.
And so my brain is there.
Right.
I can't multitask on remembering the route because I'm focused on
the memory
else.
interference. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. And doing something new or that memory interference. I mean, I totally recommend our listeners to listen to our podcast.
Of course,
driving.
of course.
But I definitely, I mean, yeah, you're definitely right with it. And so that's why we need to figure out ways to do this. Don't be in a routine. So, I mean, it gets scary sometimes. Well, I will get off work and drive home and I'll be like, that's I don't remember any of that drive because that was a routine for me. I put my brain to autopilot and I mean, that happens all the time, and so I need to start, conditioning my brain by taking new ways to work, maybe not taking new ways to work because you might be late, but maybe new ways home to work. And that might, because, if you have the time to do that. I don't like doing new hobbies because I hate being bad at things.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But, and then, it was funny when I was reading this in parentheses, it said, even if you're bad at it, do a new hobby. And I was like, I felt like that was directly talking to me.
Yeah.
And so I need to do new hobbies because that will just start conditioning my brain for new information. But there's other ways you can sharpen your mind. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, I think when you look at the studies out there around this topic, you've done a lot more research than me, but working out and being active, just moving your body does so much for your brain. We talked about walking earlier, and walking for just 20, 30 minutes after being seated, sitting at a desk for most of your day, which a lot of us, that's our experience. When you start walking, the patterns, the wave or the neurons in your brain start firing. your brain is actually like so much more active when you're up and moving, and your ability to remember things is going to be higher. And so just moving, working out, increase the health of your brain overall, so that even at times when you are sitting down, you have a higher chance to remember things.
Yeah.
And it's all, we talk about this all the time, but like your mental, your physical, your spiritual health, all of that is so connected. You can't like separate the three.
Exactly.
And so actually spiritual practices too can greatly help you with your memory.
Yeah.
Memorizing scripture, spending time in prayer and meditation, all of that will help your brain be healthier and help you have better memory.
Yeah, for sure.
And the walking thing specifically, some of Steve Jobs' best creative ideas came when he got out of his office and went for a walk.
Oh, really?
It actually like sparks your brain's creativity.
Oh, yeah.
So they say if you're, let's say at your job, you're struggling to come up with a solution for something, and you have this problem you just can't crack the code on, try getting up, going for a walk, and thinking about it while walking, and see if you get over that creative block. Because that's actually how our brains function, is we think and problem solve better when we're moving.
Yeah, get that blood flow going to the brain, so you're not like sitting still. And that's what, like, I was talking to Claire about this, and she said that if you take a break, don't just sit down and take a break, like be active.
Yeah.
So, my wife is an occupational therapist, and so she tells her patients or the people that come see her clinic that, hey, let's have the kids be more active, because this will sharpen their mind if they're more active during those times. So that was awesome for there. And another one, and I feel like I don't want to be beating a dead horse with this one. And I always find it ironic when we talk about this, because we thrive on social media as a podcast. However, social media is really bad. It can be bad for your memory. And I never thought of it this way before, but someone said that for social media, when you're just like scrolling on there, your brain is not resting. It is holding all of those information, all those stories, all those TikToks, all the TikTok stuff, all the Instagram, all the X, whatever. It's like, it's storing all the information. And so, like with the memory interference, in order to store that, it's not mindless. And we think it's mindless. We think, I'm tired. I just want to get home, rest, and be on my phone. You're not resting. Your brain is going crazy for that. And so we'll start rapidly forgetting things so that it can remember all those, those silly dog videos. Or it'll make sure it remembers that cat riding a skateboard, but it's going to forget what you did that day. And so social media, I would highly recommend taking breaks from there, setting time on your phone. And again, not trying to sound, there's like a broken record on that, because I feel like we've done that a lot. But I just found another way why social media can be bad is by making sure you don't spend so much time, especially at night. If you're at night, it's also bad for your eyes. If you're at night with the lights off,
Affects your sleep.
yeah, affects your sleep, because you're not going to be able. Okay, I just watched 2 hours of TikTok videos, and I want to go to bed easy.
So I don't know if you came across this when you were looking into stuff, but I've heard that like what you do right before you go to bed sticks in your brain more than any other time through the day.
Okay,
That's why they suggest reading when you go to bed. Yeah, like thinking about your goals right before you go to bed, or
right.
planning your next day right before you go to bed.
No, I actually did. I was listening to a podcast about this, and it said in the morning and at night are the like 2 best times for your brain to be active. But what I started doing is I started stretching right before I even get to my bed. And so, like, I don't I mean, I'll have all the lights off and everything. I'll turn my timer off. So like, I make sure I don't look at my phone. So the last thing I do is I just lay on the ground, I stretch. And that's like an actual resting my body and everything. That's what I recommend stretching before you go to bed. It'll help you just calm down completely. But to our listeners, I hope that this helped. I hope that you can use these. If you have other steps about sharpening your, please tell us that. But since we have time, and I'm so glad we had time, I do have one more memory test for you.
Oh gosh.
So another memory thing is by doing puzzles or crossword puzzles, like actual puzzles that you can do, and riddles. are a good one. Love a riddle for you.
Oh, I actually love riddles.
Okay, so I also like, we've been friends for a long time, so there's a high chance I told you this riddle before,
Maybe.
but we'll see. For our listeners, let's see if you can catch up to it. So you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, so imagine this. Imagine that you are on a boat. Okay, have I told you this one before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you're on a boat, all right? And what color do you want the boat to be?
Orange.
Orange. Got it. Okay, you're on a boat, and this red Georgia Bulldog rock, you crash into it, all right? But unfortunately, you were chained up on that. You were a prisoner on that. And your hands and your feet were all chained up. And when the boat crashes, you sink down to the bottom. And it's a pretty far down drop you're going. You're going all the way, and eventually you land on the bottom. And you have a shark coming after you. You have a crocodile coming after you. You have an eel, a little tiny goldfish. They're all coming after you to eat you. All right, but you're chained up.
Goldfish.
Yes. Hey, you never know. So, how are you going to escape this?
I'm on a boat.
Not anymore. You're on the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, but I was on a boat.
You were on a boat. Yes, you were chained
up as a prisoner.
Yes, so when your boat hit the rock, the Georgia Bulldog rock, you fell down to the bottom
of the ocean. And there's a shark.
Yes,
an alligator,
crocodile.
Yeah,
Gators are water. Yeah, we need to be accurate.
And a goldfish.
Which
probably isn't accurate.
Probably not, but it had an eel and an eel. Yeah,
coming at me,
trying to eat you, and you're chained up. Hands and feet are chained up. And you're starting to lose breath. Like you're starting to not hold your breath for a long.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So right, which would be easier in the story if you were, because you could get out faster. But how can you escape?
How can I escape?
And listeners, if you know, please comment below how you can escape.
Is this one of those where the answer's in the
maybe
the setup?
Maybe it could be. You never know.
Can you repeat it all?
No, can I repeat it all again? Once you have it going, then it's there.
What the heck? Why is there a snowman at my door?
I didn't know what to say. There's a snowman at your door. That's definitely not helping with the memory test right now.
Let's get the snowman in here. Why not? Does the snowman want to come in? Well, hey, first live podcast. You got to have some weird stuff.
Yes.
Okay. How am I going to escape?
We need 5 more seconds because I don't want it to be a lot.
I don't.
So you weren't listening, obviously, because in the beginning I said imagine this. So in order to escape, you just stop imagine. And that's how you escape.
I hate that.
Hey, so that's the rhythm. You should be paying attention. Your short-term memory obviously is not doing.
Next week I got a riddle.
Okay,
I think I'm locked in.
Okay, let's hear it. Hey, but do some more riddles if you want something in your mind. Hey, shout us out if you have a riddle. Post one on social media. We'll share it. Let's see if we can figure it out.
Yeah. Huge thank you to you all who listen and are consistent listeners of ours. We, out of the bottom of our hearts, we are not trying to grow this thing for us to get famous or to make a lot of money. We are truly in this to help men become the best version of themselves and to encourage fun, honesty, vulnerability, deep friendships among men. That's what we're in this for. And we know that it's needed in our society. And so if you are a consistent listener, you love the content, get a lot out of it. The best thing you can do for men is to share this with other men in your life that you think need to hear it and that can benefit from it. Odds are you probably don't know who those people are. So just send it to everyone you know, because odds are they may be struggling and just not talking. And so help us get the word out for this. We want to see healing take place for men. And then we think that the best way that happens is in community with other guys in deep friendships. And that's what we're trying to facilitate on this show. And so text it to people that you think about when you're listening to a show. Dan has another rule that he did mention on the last podcast. It's called the law of diminishing intent, which is if you think of something, do it right then. So if you think of someone to send it to, do it right away because you'll forget about it and you'll never go back to do it. Connection back to memory. See how it
gets a full circle. Yeah.
So yeah.
Go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to say thank you again. Yeah. Thank you again for everybody. the holidays are a time when people kind of get a little more maybe depressed or anxious, and it's a time when dogs should be there for each other.
Yeah.
So, what should we do?
So go be a dog today.
And go be there for your dogs.